What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the Wise Take MLB DFS Wise stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I, of course, am from the Wise Take Nation, which you can find on also all the social media platforms listed above or directly at wisetake.com. We are a premium DFS content provider as well as a DFS community designed to help make you a better DFS player. Sorry for the little delay. Just got the announcement that Dustin May is going to be starting for the Dodgers, so just trying to make sure that we have him in here so that we can discuss what we think about the guy. Ugly pitching slate. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please subscribe and notifications bell so you don't miss out on any of the free content we do, DFS related content we do. Also hit the like button. Those of you joining us, likes go a long way. Really help us out. Allow us to continue to do dirties on YouTube and Twitter. DFS dirties. So as always, we'll go through the pitching list. We just got confirmation that Dustin May is going to be pitching for the Dodgers, so we'll get into that a little bit. Didn't expect him to get the call. I thought maybe they'd go with Gonsolin or Urias, but looks like they're going with Dustin May, so we'll have to go ahead and get in on him a little bit. Let's pull some stuff up. Where you at, May? I mean, there he is. Shit, right in front of me. Okay. So we'll get right into it. Zach Greinke was recently announced as the starter for Houston. I expect him to be the most popular pitcher, right? I think people look at Oakland as one of the weaker offenses relative to the slate. Not saying they're a weak offense. They did well for us yesterday. They were our top stack. Holla at your boy. Today, Greinke, I expect to be pretty popular. I'm going to have some exposure, but I'll be underweight. I think I'm going to be underweight, assuming that I get his ownership right. I think he'll be the highest owned pitcher because Christian Javier was already going to be. I think, at least that's what I expected. And now you got Greinke, who's an even better name. So I think they're going to. I think that's what we're going to see as the chalk. Maybe not. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the price will keep people low. I'm seeing ownership projections that have Greinke lower than I would have expected. But I don't know. We'll have to see. I figured he'd be popular because for namesake, but maybe because of his price, people aren't willing to play him. Either way, let's get into the actual matchup. So we know he's actually got one of the best xFIPs on the slate. He's got the best of any actual starter at 3.51. The whip looks good. Strikeout rate was decent. Swinging strike rate was okay, not great. Interestingly enough, he had some pretty strong reverse splits this year, including his strikeout rate, 32.6% strikeout rate to lefties, 16.3 to righties, 234 WOBA to lefties, 354 to righties. If we go over his hard contact rate, 33.2% on the season, 37.5% over his last 30 days. Ground ball rate 41%. The home run rates looks pretty good. He's got one of the lowest home run rates on the slate. So this is like an ownership feel it out type situation. If you thought you can get Greinke at low ownership, which it looks like some people are actually saying, then maybe it is a decent spot to buy in. But it's hard not to look at the Oakland offense and say and look at all the righties they have and think that doesn't bode so well for Greinke. They have 3 lefties: La Stella, Olsen, and Grossman. Olsen and La Stella aren't exactly pushovers either. So to be honest with you, I lean towards Oakland's offense again. But I was just a little bit shocked to see the ownership on Greinke lower than I expected, which it may not be right. I think people will still elect to pitch him. If they don't on DraftKings because of the price, and I would expect on FanDuel he is more popular. On FanDuel, he could be the straight chalk because he's 8,100 compared to Sixto 9,500. Dustin May, I'm not really interested in. Didn't really pitch a ton during the season as far as depth, like each game. XFIP significantly higher than his ERA. That's a little bit worrisome. The whip looked good. Strikeout rate was okay. Nothing great there. Swinging strike rate 8.4% is not going to do it for me. It's not. I would like to look at his pitch type profiles. So it looks like he struggled a little bit with lefties. We'll get into that in a second. I know he throws hard. This guy throws fucking real hard. So I'd like to see how these guys do against the Heat. Grisham, Tatis. I may have to up the Padres a little bit. I don't know. He's a big-time sinker baller. He throws hard, and he throws a lot of sinkers. Hosmer, Grisham profile really well. The other guys, not so much. And his sinker's like 98 miles an hour. Like straight fastballs, they hit the hard stuff well. You switch it to a sinker, all of a sudden, a lot of these numbers drop. I think I lean heavier towards the bats of the Padres. Nothing notable on the splits. 336 WOBA to lefties, 226 to righties, so the lefties have hit him better. He has given up home runs. You can see his home run rate around 4%. One of the higher numbers on the slate. I think it's the fourth highest. I guess we can't really include Morjan. Hard contact rate has been up the last 30 days to 41.5%. So I lean towards the Padres bats. Frankie Montas is kind of in a middling spot. So his numbers were down relative to what we saw before his suspension last year. However, the swinging strike rate's exactly the same. The strikeout rate is pretty close. So I think that maybe it's just some variance and we see things catch up. His walk rates have probably been hurting him. Like you can see against lefties, a 12.9% walk rate compared to a 6.6. And his WOBA, 444 against lefties, 352 against righties. Fortunately for him, the Astros only have 3 lefties. Now, they're 3 pretty good lefties. At least Brantley and Tucker are. So I do like those guys, specifically Tucker, Brantley, Reddick. And I'm good with having a stack. Montas is not by any means my favorite pitcher, but obviously I'm doing 170 teams. I'm going to have some exposure. I think him and Greinke will be somewhere around 30% each. And I'll get into who my heavier pitchers are. But there's really 2 guys that I'm going heavier on, and then the rest are going to be kind of scattered. Montas, one of those guys. But again, I will have Astro stacks. I definitely think it's a possibility that they hit him. Bregman profiled really well, by the way. Sixto Sanchez. So, I mean, this guy should be pretty popular for good reason against the Braves. He's actually also had some reverse splits. So, curious to see where the Braves come in ownership because of Sixto. But Sixto's got one of the best, one of the best strikeout stuff on the slate. So you're swinging strike rate 12.9%. There is Morjan and Yarbrough higher, but they're both kind of, one's an opener, one's a reliever. Sixto Sanchez has looked good. Looks like he's been better against lefties than righties, both from a strikeout perspective and from a WOBA perspective, which is kind of interesting. Very expensive on FanDuel. He doesn't really give up a lot of home runs. And he's got one of the highest ground ball rates on the slate. Hard contact rate over the last 30 days looks good. So does his hard contact rate on the season. He seems he's one of the pitchers I'll have a good amount of exposure to. He's one of them. That's not to say I'll have him in every team, and that's not to say I won't have Brave stacks, because I will. But I'll have a good amount of Sixto, just going to kind of ride this home run percentage being low, right? And Miami's bullpen's got awful. We know that. Jordan Montgomery is the other pitcher I'll have the most exposure to. 3.65 xFIP, 12.9% swinging strike rate. The strikeout rate, 24.4% is not bad. Hard contact rate a little elevated over the last 30 days, but on the season it's been good. The home run percentage is a little bit alarming, but remember this game is not in Yankee Stadium, so that's promising. Now, the Rays are one of the most boomer bust stacks on the slate. They have phenomenal numbers against lefties, but they also finished first in strikeouts to lefties. So I think that this spot is pretty polarizing. I'll have a good amount of Montgomery, and I'll also have a good amount of Rays stacks to kind of counteract, because I think this goes one way or the other. I think either Montgomery is one of the top pitchers in the slate, raw score, point per dollar, everything, or the Rays beat the shit out of them. Now, there's the possibility where we get middled, where the Rays don't do quite well enough because Montgomery just didn't pitch deep enough or whatever. But on paper, it looks like one of the more polarizing spots. Kyle Wright's the worst pitcher on the slate, I would say, or one of. 5.33 xFIP, 1.55 whip, 17.9% strikeout rate, only a 10% swinging strike rate. He struggled mightily to lefties. Now, again, the Marlins don't have a ton of lefties. They got Cedic, they got Chaz Chisenholm, and Magneuris Sierra, but he does throw a lot of sliders to righties, and it hasn't looked like a great slider. And there were a lot of good profiles like Bertie, Brian Anderson, Cooper, a few guys that profiled well against the slider. So I do like Miami a lot, man. I think they get to them. You can see one of the higher home run percentages on the slate belongs to Mr. Wright. His hard contact rate has been down over the last 30 days, but in general, still 36 in the season. So yeah, I'll have Miami stacks for sure. So Yarbrough, normally I'd be really concerned on if he's even coming in. We've seen a number of times during the regular season that people will say, oh, he's the probable long reliever, and then he never even comes in. But I've seen on multiple sources that Yarbrough is expected to be the long man today. He's got a 4.33 xFIP, an 18.8% strikeout rate, but a 13.3% swinging strike rate. So the swinging strike rate indicates that maybe his strikeout rate should be higher. Now, the Yankees have not been as good against lefties this year. They haven't been terrible, but they have not been as good. Last year, they were amazing against lefties, especially at home. This year, not so much. But they are heavily right-handed, and they are a team you're going to want to get some exposure to. However, I also think for ownership purposes, Yarbrough, who has looked pretty good over his last few appearances, is worth getting some exposure to. So that's like a little less of a polarizing spot, I think. I could see more routes where that's like a middle on both ends. But keep in mind that the pitchers we have today are not very good. So there is a scenario where it's just an ownership thing, and maybe investing in money and pitching well isn't a very good idea in general. So I do like Yarbrough. Adrian Morejon's going to be the opener. I did see in one place that they said that supposedly the Padres manager had said that they think Morejon can go about 50 innings if need be. I'm sorry, 5 innings if need be. However, and their bullpen is taxed, so they could use it. However, he's never thrown more than 40 pitches in a game. So it's hard to envision him going more than 40. Maybe he gets 50 pitches. He's got really good strikeout stuff. He did in the minors as well. It's just hard to envision. I mean, at 6-6 against the Dodgers, I wouldn't mind doing it if I thought he was going to go 4 or 5 innings. But without knowing, and then, he's going against one of the best, you got to have a lot of Dodger stacks. Assuming he's not going more than 3 innings, and even if he does, the Dodgers offense, one of the best in the league. And this is going to be another bullpen game. I say another because Clevenger's outing turned into a bullpen game and everything else. So yeah, I like the Dodger bats a pretty good amount. For sure. Ryan Thompson, obviously the opener. Not really going to get into that a ton. Let's get in the chat real quick. What's up, nation? Please hit the like button. Tony A says Dustin May starting. Yes, sir. Diego Rodriguez, CK, what's good, brother? Let's do dirties. You've been on point with the pitchers these last 4 games. So, hey, Diego, I appreciate it, and I feel like the last 2 days I should have won a lot more than I did. I've been profitable, but not much. But I will admit today's pitching slate is a shit show. Like, the pitching is all over the place. I like Sixto and Montgomery. They appear to be the chalk. I kind of thought once Greinke was announced as the starter that we'd see his ownership go up, but that has not been the case. So I'd be lying if I didn't say that makes me a little nervous. It's kind of like, really? Because I was kind of under the anticipation that he would be. But yeah, man, we've been doing well, but I'm going to be honest, man. This pitching slate is ugly. Please hit the like button. Tony A, who would you start as a pitcher on FanDuel? So Sixto or Montgomery, those are my favorite two. It depends on the bats. I guess Montgomery, but it's really, I mean, really 8,100 for Greinke seems like a decent idea. But again, I do like the A's primarily because Greinke's been reverse splitsy and the A's have a lot of righties in the lineup. So I do like the A's again. It's tough, man. It's really, really tough. Tony, do you like Sanchez today? Braves third time facing him. I do like Sanchez because I think he genuinely has good stuff. On FanDuel, it's interesting because I think he'll be chalk on DraftKings. On FanDuel, he may not be as popular because he's 9,500. So I guess it really depends on the money. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not really sure. Tony A says Oakland hit soft tosser as well. I agree. What stacks are high owned? Let me see if we can find a little bit on that, huh? Let's see. It actually looks like the Dodgers will be popular. I think the Dodgers and maybe Houston. I mean, I don't think there are really too many stacks overall going to be popular. I think that certain hitters will be. For example, Fernando Tatis, maybe Mookie Betts. So I don't know about if stacks will be popular in the playoffs, but I think in this slate, but I do think that hitters in general will be. Diego says, yeah, I agree with you. You nailed the Oakland stack yesterday too. You're dirty as coming. Good luck, bro. Thanks for doing this as always. Much appreciated, Diego, man. It's good to have people in the chat, some good people, positive vibes and all that shit. It's always nice. T-Spaz 617. Is Stanton going to cool down? You would think at some point. You would think at some point, but I wouldn't count on it happening like now. If that makes sense. Stanton is normally someone who struggles with high strikeout pitchers. Yarborough's not really that. So I don't know. At some point he will, but right now I'm not betting on it, man. I think the Yankees' offense is pretty explosive, and he's one of the reasons why. Although he is very streaky. I know that about Stanton. He's very streaky, and right now he's on a hot streak. Bailing before he gets to the cold streak is the key, but that's also the toughest part. All right, Nation, that's going to do it. It's a weird one. So we'll see. I will be doing a stream with Paulie D tonight for the NFL DFS Showdown slate. So we'll talk Bucks and Bears. Make sure you come hang out with us tonight. It'll be around 6 o'clock or so. We're breaking it down, dirty style. With that said, appreciate you guys. For myself, the entire Wise Take Nation, as always, good luck.